Hi, my name's Steve and welcome to the Seaside Allotment channel, and it's the regular what am I sowing and growing video, and it's the turn of December, and so it's a pretty quiet month, not sowing anything in December. I will sow a little bit in January, but I'm not sowing anything in December. You can sow some stuff, I mean if you're short of something, but it's just, really you don't get any significant sort of time advantage. The only reason you'd sow, I think, anything in December is just if you need the windowsill space in January and February, and so you kind of use the windowsill space just to get things going in December, and then if your windowsills are going to be full in January and February, it just makes sense to do that. But in my case, I don't need to do that. So this video is basically all about what we're growing, what seedlings we've got that we're still in trays rather than in the ground. So I'll show you around those. And yeah, I mean it's been an interesting time actually. It's been a really nice, relatively nice November after quite a soggy and wet autumn for us. So we've been really enjoying ourselves and getting out and about a bit. So that's been nice. Not really spending very much time on the allotment, just a little bit of clearing up and things like that. Anyway, I'll get on. I'll show you what we're growing. First up, we've got the grow bench trestle table in the Polytunnel, and so in here I've got some spare lettuces, and these are really ready now to be planted out. And I have got a few gaps, but I need to wait for a period of at least probably 7 days where we're not going to have any frost. So a bit later on this week, I think, probably these will go out. So I've got a really nice selection here. I've got some bijou, I've got some Grenoble Reds, got some Roxy's, and I've got some Navara and some Freckles. So quite a nice selection of lettuces there. Then we've got some cauliflower all year rounds, which they'll get planted out late winter, early spring, depending on the weather. And I've got some more kales here. Now, it's interesting, I'm trying to experiment with getting a continuity of kale. We eat kale pretty much every day. But, by May time, all the kale's pretty much finished, but the new season kale isn't ready. So I plant some over winter to see whether I can keep that going without it going to seed. And I'll also plant some in February time probably. And then here I've got some calabrese. Again, that's the same as the cauliflower. It'll get planted out late winter, early spring. And then I've got some more successions of plants for overwintering. These need potting on obviously now, but there's some sprouts here, and the sprouts are something I really love to get as early as possible in the season. And by the time I'm ready to plant these out, which is probably March time, these will obviously be really nice stocky little plants. I've got some calabrese there, some more all year round cauliflowers, and some Duncan spring cabbages. And if we turn around here, we've got a more mature set of successions here. So these are bigger cabbages, and then there's some more calabrese, some more cabbages, some more cauliflowers, and then here we've got some little immature lettuces. And so I like to plant just a couple of beds of lettuce at this time of year. They overwinter, they put down nice deep roots, and then of course these come into their own in early spring, when some of the winter lettuces might have failed depending on how bad the winter was. And I've got a few beetroot. We like to have some early beetroot again, just in case we start to run out in sort of May time from the beetroot that we've got in store. So it's nice to have a succession of beetroot coming through. And I've got some more little lettuces there. Unfortunately, I've lost the label, so I need to look at my sowing log to find out what those are. I think they're going to be, actually they are, they're winter density, I think. So again, it's nice to have some of those. Winter density for me, they don't overwinter very well as mature plants. So I've got a few in the ground, but they do really well in early spring. So I really like to have those plants in the beds. I've got some spring onions and then just a few more spare lettuces. Now I'm kind of surprised that these spare lettuces are still hanging on, because they've been in those trays for quite a couple of months now. I just haven't had any space to plant them out, but I'm getting some space opening up now, so I'll start planting those. Got a few more beetroot. I basically want 2 square metres of decent quality beetroot plants, and I'll show you the ones outside in a minute. They're coming on okay. I've got a little bit of Mizuna again, just in case I get a little bit of space opening up, and that is pretty much it for the seedlings. I've got no seedlings at home, which is a nice situation to be in, and everything else, as you can see, all my beds are all fully planted. So it's all comes down to finding space, basically. You can see everything needs a little bit of a tidy up. I suppose I should say I've got lots of carrots coming at various different successions, and I'm not 100% confident yet about growing carrots over winter, because there is a risk that they just run to seed before they're really ready. But it's a kind of, I'm not using these tubs for anything else, so I might as well just pop some carrots in, and then by the time I need these tubs, when I start planting my tomatoes and cucumbers and things like that, hopefully I'll have taken some baby carrots out of these. I've got Polytunnel's a bit of a mess at the moment because I've got all this ochre in here, and I'm quite excited to harvest some of this actually, because it's quite a treat. I really like its crunchy tuber. It's a bit like a radish. We haven't really got much radish left now, so it's kind of quite nice to have this coming on as an alternative. So as you can see, we're all closed up. We've had, as I said, quite a frost. I'm not going to do a tour of everything that I'm growing, but what I will do is I'll just show you all the stuff that's still really, just been planted out. So just little seedlings really, a long way now away from harvest time. So I've got 2 beds of carrots, and I'm pretty pleased with the germination. It's not perfect, but at this time of year, it's pretty good. And these are in a little low tunnel, and obviously they're going to grow really slowly at this time of year, but that's kind of what you want really. The thing is just to get them germinated in October, and hope that they don't run to seed before they're ready in sort of April, May time. But under this little low tunnel they should be reasonably warm. In fact, I don't think they froze last night, so that's not too bad. So I've got my last succession of radish here, and again, at this time of year it's always unclear when you plant whether you're actually going to get a crop, but it doesn't matter too much with radish because the leaves are nice, and they make a good addition to smoothies. So if we don't actually get radish, it doesn't matter that much, and if we do, it's a nice bonus. So these are my overwintering beetroot, and a lot of them are looking really beautiful. I'm very happy with them. I think there must be some pests over there in that corner though. But I've got, as you saw on the grow bench, I've got some replacements, so yeah, I'm really happy with the way these are shaping up. And again, it's always a risk that they might bolt before we harvest them, but this is Early Wonder and Detroit Globe, and these are two varieties that are designed for overwintering. And look, some nice spinach. Again, these are nice small plants. We won't get a harvest off these until next year, but come February time we should get quite an abundant crop off here. And then these are my overwintering onions, and some of these are planted at spring onion density. These are stir on, but then these will be thinned out and there'll just be 2 or 3 left to grow on for harvesting in June. And then these are already planted. These are tough ball, I think, most of these. Again, an overwintering Japanese onion. And these are planted at 2 or 3 density, and if there's the odd one that's more than that, they'll get thinned out. And I've got them underneath this little low tunnel because I want, really, with onions overwintered, you want them as early as possible. So I'm seeing if I can get some really early by growing them on in here. And obviously this tunnel will come off probably about March time, and they just fend for themselves after that. And then this cover will get used for the early French beans, dwarf French beans. And then we've just got these few spring cabbages that I've planted out, and basically as I said, as beds come clear, I'll start planting them out. But looking pretty good, actually. I'm quite pleased with those. And we've got lots of other stuff that's not ready, but most of that you'll see if you look at my tour. So in this case, this is corn salad. It's looking pretty good. Corn salad is particularly valuable to us in January, so we're growing that on, and we'll leave it until January, sort of early February time, when all the other salad ingredients aren't growing very strongly. And this is another example, Marvel of Winter, which is growing for harvest in January time. So I'm kind of resisting picking it, just picking the odd diseased leaves off just to keep the plants tidy. And then these are the most mature of the plants for overwintering. So these are sprouts for a super early harvest of sprout leaves, which we absolutely love. And I've got a little problem here with cabbage aphid on them, so I need to get them sprayed. And then these are all cabbages for overwintering. So you can see I've got 3 successions of spring cabbages. Make all the difference in the hungry gap, having plenty of cabbage. And I'm just doing one experiment to see how the chard does over winter in one of these containers in the polytunnel. Obviously there's not enough chard there for anything like a substantial meal or anything, but I am thinking of growing more chard in the polytunnel next year, and so I'm just running that little experiment to see. At the moment I've got plenty of chard outside, but it does kind of stall in the middle of winter, whereas the polytunnel is a much better growing environment in the middle of winter. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. We've got loads of brassicas. We've got plentiful supply, so we don't need anything that's in the polytunnel at the moment, but it's really nice to have this kind of reserve in the tunnel. I'm getting a little bit of mould on it, which is an issue, but apart from that, I'm really pleased with the quality of it. And the main reason that I have this is because these are plants that were put in the ground in October and sowed sort of middle of August time, and so they, in the polytunnel, they don't go to seed until sort of late April time, and so it gives us a nice harvest of good quality kales all the way up till the beginning of May, and that's when we transition to the summer crops in here. We just don't generally have good quality kale in April, and so by doing it in the polytunnel in this way, it gives us a nice continuity. And then with all this overwintered stuff that we're doing, that means we have new stuff coming on in May and early June before the main crops of the brassicas that will get planted in April are ready. So for me, it's all about continuity of supply, and using these different environments, like using overwintering, using the polytunnel, using low tunnels and fleece. You can kind of get a nice continuity. So there you go. I hope you like this quick video, and I'll see you soon.